The Tennessee Titans last year, big splash with the trade for Julio Jones. It happened after June 1 for cap reasons, and it never worked. I'm not surprised that – I expected this. I know it's news because they're putting it out there now and somebody's reporting on it, but the only real surprise would have been if they had kept Julio Jones. He was a major disappointment in his 1 year with the Titans, and by all appearances, it's over for Julio Jones.
Well, right. And yeah, I think that maybe somebody's going to pick him up. But boy, he's had two such down years. He never could get a hamstring right. It just seemed like, and when you are such a talented guy and you can't play at your peak anymore, I imagine that that's probably tough for Julio Jones just personally. But at the same time, like you said, Mike, this trade just did not work out, like, at all. The Titans probably would have been better off if they just kept Corey Davis. And I know Corey Davis went through some injury issues last year too. But in terms of trying to replace guys like Davis and Jonnu Smith, the Titans didn't do it. And I really think that's part of why the interceptions went up with Ryan Tannehill. He just did not have the kind of reliable targets that he'd had on that offense before. So, now that Julio Jones is gone there, I think it's better for the Titans to realize, let's not double down on this mistake. Let's move on and let's see how we can really start to fill those roles, because they need a second receiver opposite A.J. Brown, and they also need a good tight end for Ryan Tannehill.
I remember back in 2018 when the Falcons were enduring some contractual difficulties with Julio Jones. I tried to figure out exactly what was going on, and he was getting to the point where he knew there wasn't much time left in his career to maximize his earnings. He had been developing friendships with some really, really, really rich people. He had an urgency to get more money. And look, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm not passing judgment. But you have a way to make a lot of money, and that's playing football in the NFL. The problem is the production hasn't been there. So it's hard to make that kind of money if you've fallen off. And he's, big physical guy, and he may hit the wall before other guys do, and that's going to be the challenge. So for him, I think, Myles, and plenty of great players who once made a lot of money end up in this spot where they have to decide, is what I'm offered worth it? Is it worth it to me to keep playing? Is it beneath me to play for $2 million a year? Or do I just move on? And I think that's going to be his threshold question, because I just don't think the money's going to be there in the way that he may think it should be.
It shouldn't be, though. Based on what the last 2 years have been, he's only played 19 regular season games over the past 2 years. This year, you're looking at the Titans. It was easily his worst year in terms of production. Only 31 catches, 434 yards, 1 touchdown in 10 games. All right, he had only 1 game of over 100 yards, and that was early in the season when they played the Seattle Seahawks. So I don't know what the market's going to be for Julio Jones. I think that there is certainly going to be teams out there that would take a flyer on him, but you're right, it's going to be for him. Is this worth it for me to continue playing football if I'm playing at this salary level? And I just don't know why anybody would take a really big chance on him with a big salary at this point.
And, and I want to be very careful how I phrase this, because one of the things that I try to project in playmakers is a sensitivity to what players go through, and from a health and safety standpoint, what it takes to line up and play every week in the NFL. But I think the Falcons were starting to get to the point where they wondered, could he really play, and is he just choosing not to play because he's not being paid what he thinks he should be getting paid? And you have to wonder, when he went to Tennessee and didn't get a new contract on his way through the door, was there a residual element of that, where these injuries that are keeping him from playing, are they really and that's always going to be a question. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be a concern from time to time. And I say that because if he would get a contract that makes him happy, I don't know, maybe he finds a fountain of youth and he starts playing a lot better because he plays through injuries that in the past he didn't. But again, I'm always concerned about that, because you only know if you're the guy, and the team can have a perspective, but its perspective can be skewed by the fact that they want the guy on the field. So they're going to be more inclined naturally to say, why the hell aren't you out there, especially if you have any old school football mindset in your organization.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.